Good morning, everyone. Guess what we're going to talk about today? I got some exciting stuff here. Um, you know, I looked at last week's video and I went on for 30 minutes. Like, holy crap, man. Who has 30 minutes to watch a video, especially Michael? Whoa. Oh, apologize for that one. So, I was trying to think what I wanted to do this week. I thought, the stuff I got, I'm going to break it down a little bit. I try to get through it so I can get it all filed away because I just like filing stuff. But we're going to have a special one today. First, though, I hit 101 subscriptions. That's, wow, kind of excited about that. There's been a lot of people that have promoted my channel. I really do appreciate. Thank you very, very much. This is a lot of fun. Kat's here to celebrate the promotion of 101, and what I think I might have a contest, and I'm going to give away Cat, and I will send him out to whoever wants to have a cat. And okay, we're on the lap again, so we're set to go. So I show that to my wife, and she goes, "So what does that mean?" I go, "Well," I says, "Honey, you're not understanding. Once you hit 100 subscriptions, your life totally changes, and quite frankly, there's a lot of things you want me to do around the house. I don't think I'm going to have time, because there's just YouTube stuff you have to do." Yeah, you don't get into the specifics. You just tell her that, and hopefully I can get out of stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But thanks. Pretty exciting. This has been a lot of fun. The one thing, when you can talk music, it's the most exciting thing in the whole wide world. And I've had nobody to talk music to for years. So, hey, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. So today we're going to, I want to go through blues. I've had a number of recent blues purchases, and it's something that I've been really passionate about for a long time, and I really got some cool stuff that I'm pretty excited about. So we're going to do that today, and look at that. Does anybody have their Nebraska mug? You can't see it all, but when you're from Nebraska, though I don't live in Nebraska, you never lose your roots. All right, so let's start with this. Chicago, the Blues Today. All right, this is the album that started it all. Actually, I had this album. You know what? I couldn't find it. I thought I only had it on a cassette tape. Back in the 80s, after I got out of college, just started to work, you only had so much money. I used to go to the libraries, and I would just tape everything they had. I mean, I went through, I probably have 1,500 cassette tapes, Maxell cassette tapes of albums that I taped, which would be about 3,000 albums. I wanted music. I wanted to listen to music. Just there's only so much money. The library let me do this. This was one of the albums I found. I was living in Chicago in the early 80s, out in the suburbs, not in Chicago, and I came across this, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I did not know anything about the blues except for the movie Blues Brothers. That was it. That was a great movie. And when I listened to this, it really, again, it was one of those albums that changed my musical perspective. It brought a whole new world to me, and I became an instant blues fan. I really was great. And so, this was a neat album. It's, Chicago, the Blues Today. A lot of great writing on there, which I always appreciate. But it looks at three bluesmen. So it looks at the Jimmy Cotton Blues Quartet, Otis Rush Blues Band, and Homesick James and his Dusters. So it visits these three. What's really nice is when you listen to that, you feel like you're in a blues club. I mean, it's intimate. It's really neat. The very first group, James Cotton Blues Quartet. Well, that's James Cotton. He was, he just passed away recently. Harmonica player. In the 50s, he started with Muddy Waters. And, after Little Walter left, James Cotton came on. Well, he also had his own band. And so this goes through his stuff. What separates James Cotton from the others is he had piano on his, and he had Otis Spann. And Otis Spann has a little bit of that boogie-woogie feel to it, which you get out of New Orleans. So it gives it a little more party. Then there's the Otis Rush Blues Band, Otis Rush, and on there. What I liked, the fascinating part of Otis Rush, one of the tracks on here, it's called "I Can't Quit You, Baby." Led Zeppelin fans, I Can't Quit You Baby. Does that sound familiar? Jimmy Page, this is the rendition that he used in Led Zeppelin when they covered I Can't Quit You Baby. So I thought that was really fascinating that he took the track here from Otis Rush and his blues band. And then there's Homesick James and his Dusters. This, you know, he had a famous cousin. And his famous cousin did this song called Dust My Broom. His name was Elmore James. So, Homesick James, he uses slide guitar also because that's what he learned from his cousin Elmore. And so he does some of that. Now, the other thing is all three of these artists came from Mississippi. They were all born around 1918 or so. No, I can't say that. Some of them were younger than that. But all three did come from Mississippi, and they moved up to Chicago. And there were certain highways there that were just known as the highways from those in the South that were oppressed and looking for work. And up to Chicago they went. So this was a great album that really looked at some blues, and this is the one that hooked me. I mean, there are some other ones. There's also Living Chicago Blues. You can find them. It's well worth listening to. If you don't know a lot about the blues, you know, this might be a great primer. It really got me interested in them, and feels like the honky tonk. So let's get into what I found here. There's not a ton of albums, so it won't last 30 minutes. All right, this is a recent pickup I got this week when I was down in Loveland, Ohio. Dang gummit if I can't remember the place. This is Elmore James, okay? This is a new, this was done in 2013. Look at that. See this? It came with a CD, isn't that neat? Right in his little pocket there. How fun is that? I love when they do fun things. It not only came with a CD, it came with a download card on there. Had a neat little strip. Elmore James Blues Show. Blues Masterwork. They also have this available for Lightnin' Hopkins, B.B. King, and Robert Johnson. All right. So Elmore James from Mississippi. Moved up, you know, after World War II, left the Navy, went to work for his, I believe his adopted brother, in he had an electronics repair place. He repaired radios. And he began to mess around with electronics, especially on guitar, because he played, you know, guitar, something he had learned as a kid, kind of made his own one-string guitar, and then, you know, he went on from there. But he came up with, you know, the slide. Didn't come up with it, but he really brought the slide to prominence, the slide guitar, along with the fuzz. And you want to hear early fuzz work? Elmore James is the man for it. He died 1963. He was just getting famous. He was getting ready to go up to on Europe for a tour, and he passed away of a heart attack. You know, he had a weak heart his whole life. There's not a lot of live footage. For those, again, interested in blues, Elmore James is really important, and here's why. He made the, you know, Dust My Broom is an extremely important song. It's one of my all-time favorite blues songs. But how about this? You recognize this one? The Sky Is Crying. The Sky Is Crying. Stevie Ray Vaughan, anybody? Yep. There is, he also, oh, golly darn, let me look on here. Knocking at Your Door's been done. He has a, I can't find the one that I wanted to find on here. Oh well, it happens. His songs were used by a lot of different rock and roll artists and covered, because I mean they're wonderful songs. This guy really had a good sound to him, and again he was, you know, 50s. He was found, but he never really got his dues because he passed away too early. So Elmore James, this is really neat. This came off the let's see, what is that label? Delta Blues. All right. And Blues Masterworks, it's called. That's pretty darn neat. Okay, so the next one, Hound Dog Taylor. Okay, Hound Dog Taylor is another all-time favorite. If you don't know much about the blues, you never go wrong with Hound Dog Taylor. If you know a lot about the blues, you want Hound Dog Taylor. Hound Dog Taylor's famous for having 6 fingers on each hand. There's an actual condition in which people will get 6 fingers on each hand. 1 digit on each hand, that finger really, it's no good. You can't really move it. It's there, but it isn't like, hey, I'm wiggling all 6 fingers. In fact, he was drunk one night and he took a razor blade and cut off 1 of the fingers. But people have said that that extra digit did help influence the way he played his guitar and the sound that he came up with. Bruce, in 1971, there was a shipping clerk. His name was Bruce Iglauer. I might be saying it wrong. He was working as a shipping clerk for Delmark Records. And he went to his bosses, listen, there's this guy in Chicago. His name's Hound Dog Taylor. You gotta sign him up. Boss wouldn't do it, wouldn't listen to him. So this Iglauer, he had a inheritance of $2,500. He took it, invested it, created Alligator Records. Alligator Records was created solely because Bruce wanted to put Hound Dog Taylor on record. And he did. They recorded 3 albums. The last one was right when he died. Hound Dog Taylor died in 1975. Now, he was, Hound Dog was born 1915. His name was Theodore Roosevelt Taylor. Theodore Roosevelt was U.S. president at the beginning of the 20th century there. And so his parents named him after that. The Hound Dog Taylor and the House Rockers, it's a band of 3, 2 guitarists and a drummer. The second guitarist plays kind of like a bass on there. This is party music. Some blues is all about, you know, my babe is gone, ba-bum, bum-bum, she left me today, ba-bum, bum-bum, she took my dog, ba-bum, bum-bum, and now she's away, ba-bum-bum-bum-bum. That's how a lot of blues go, basic blues riff. Hound Dog Taylor is pure house rock and party. House rockers. It's party music. He might talk about his baby being gone, but it's more about, I'm going to get you in the sack tonight, okay? There's a lot more sex than other things. He's not too depressing. This is great, great party blues music. Again, you feel like you're in a club. You know, he came up to Chicago in 1942. And he struggled a long time. He was just a musician going around in different clubs and that until really this guy discovered him. You know, he played on some singles here and there in the 60s, but just never got known until Alligator Records came out. So this one here, and it's a not for sale promotional one on there. So Alligator Records. And obviously they're, you know, the preeminent blues album, one of them. All right, so another one here. We got Koko Taylor. Koko Taylor, and she, this is An Audience with the Queen, and she's been considered the queen of blues. So Koko Taylor was born in 38. She moved to Chicago up in 1952, was doing singing and that. Her husband was a truck driver. She didn't move up there to become a singer, but she was really good. She started in the gospel. In 1962, Willie Dixon heard her sing, and Willie Dixon really liked her, so he signed her to a recording contract. And I believe in '63, he took Howlin' Wolf's hit song "Wang Dang Doodle" and gave it to Koko Taylor. You on hell, Wang Dang Doodle, all night long. Now we all know Wang Dang Doodle must be sex, but yeah, I didn't know at the time, quite honestly. Well, she sold over 1 million copies of that, and it became her signature song on there. So thanks to Willie Dixon and Howlin' Wolf, she became known as the Queen of Blues. She's a belter. You know, this is like Ma Rainey. going on there. Bessie Smith, I mean, she belts out those songs. She passed away, I think, in 2009. This is a very good album. Is it her best? No, it's not. It's a live album. It's a little put together, I felt. You know, it's not like a smooth live album, but you get to hear her voice, and I mean, it's incredibly powerful. And you know, when she first got going, her guitarist was Hound Dog Taylor. He actually was part of, you know, when she, after Wang Dang Doodle, she went on tour and Hound Dog Taylor came around with her. So she went to, after Chess went down, she went on and joined Alligator Records. So there it is. And when I bought this at a local place here. It's in the antique mall. And look at that, it's an autograph, and someone told me they've seen Koko Taylor autographs and it looks authentic. So how about that? I didn't know it, I didn't look, I just saw Koko Taylor and I had to pick it up because she is a great blues woman. So that was a neat pickup. Next I have a recent pickup here. This is Johnny Winter, About Blues, and everyone knows in the vinyl community we talk a lot about Johnny Winter. This album here came out, I believe, in 72 or 73. You know, the first Johnny Winter albums were really, I mean, tours of force. I mean, it was like a hurricane blowing in. They were fast, they were hard, they really rocked. You know, the Johnny Winter albums from 69, 70, 71, you can't go wrong. Here he slows down a little bit. It's not as quick, so it's like his band's a little smaller. It's maybe some more of the traditional blues songs he plays on here, plus some rock and rollers, but not quite to what you would hear. It's not like a Highway 61 revisited type album. I didn't have this one, so I was really excited to find it. You know, I really love the early Johnny Winters. I got a pretty big collection of him. All right, so now let's get into something completely different, but it's blues related. And we got Clifton Chenier. All right, this is Zydeco music. And you know, Zydeco, you could say, looks like the blues. What's interesting is Zydeco. So what is Zydeco? Zydeco is a marriage of Cajun and Creole music, okay? Cajun music came generally up from Canada. You know, the Cajuns were French Canadians. But there's also involved with Cajun, there's English, Irish, it's more the folklore. When they came down to Louisiana, they began to have their own music, you know, using fiddles and guitars and different things. Creole music came out of the Caribbean, Haiti, Dominican Republic. Much more drum oriented and more party. So while Cajun is more folk, Creole's more party. Well, you put those two together, add in some jazz, rhythm and blues, and some basic blues, and what you get is Zydeco. And Clifton Chenier, he, you know, born 1925, he passed away in 1987, I believe. He came up with this. Well, he didn't come up with Zydeco, but he really made it big. And you know, he actually in 1983 he won a Grammy for Alligator Records. It was his very first Grammy for Alligator Records. This album goes from 1972 on here, and it is awesome. Zydeco is party music, really is. See this here, this washboard. This is one of his things he came up with, a washboard that you could wear around your neck and play. And that's the beauty of Zydeco music. You can hear this washboard. It's, you know, instead of drums, you use a washboard, you use spoons to play, just anything. And it's very accordion driven. This is an incredibly good album from 1972. And I mean, it makes you dance. It came with a nice little crowned head of Zydeco on here. So I mean, just a nice little newspaper thing that was in there. And the record label was, I had never heard of this, Arhul. Arhul? Well, I don't know. Maybe you can tell what it is. I don't know. Fantastic. Fantastic. You can't go wrong. Here was another recent pickup, Louisiana Honey Drippers, Bayou Bluegrass. So since I was doing Louisiana, I thought I would show this one here. Again, this was a band, more Cajun music, but they take country and bluegrass because they're adding the banjo in there. They were more from northern Louisiana on here, a 5-piece, sometimes a 3-piece. Jim Smoak. What I like is the bass player here, Lum. His name's Lum York. Look at him. Is that not a cool tie? Can you tell who the comic of this group is? Pretty easy to tell. Lum must be it on there. Fun album. It isn't like you get up and stomp on here. This is more Cajun oriented. The other thing, Cajun music runs a 3/4 time signature on most of it. 1 2 3, 1 2 3. While Zydeco is a 4/4 time signature. I was trying to decide. These guys are kind of on both time signatures, but I had never seen it. This is probably the most exciting album I've listened to this year. I got this off Amazon, and I showed this actually last night on the vinyl community. Fela Ransom Kuti and his group, the Afrika 70, and this is with Ginger Baker. And Fela was from Nigeria. He actually had a compound in Nigeria, his own. He was very political activist. 1969, he was in the U.S. and got involved with the Black Panthers and brought that back to Nigeria. Started his own compound, like he called it, his own specific state. Really neat. Ginger Baker went to Nigeria. He spent about 6 years there after 1970. Probably didn't. Ginger Baker kind of a hothead. Maybe that was to cool him down. But he got together with Fela. This is a live album, and there's only 4 songs on them, and they are incredible. It's incendiary. I got this off Amazon for around $12. Download it, buy it. It was one of the best albums I've listened to this year. I'm going to play this over and over and over. It's so good. Ginger Baker has a drum solo on side 2. The name of the song, Yay Yay They Smell. So, it's kind of like, you know what? If you do me wrong, you stink. And it'll come back at you also. His drum solo is phenomenal. And you have the congos behind him playing, all the congas playing. There's a couple saxes, there's a couple trumpets on here, there's a bass guitar. It's an amazing album. I could never say enough about this album. I'm so delighted to have it. Well worth a listen. Only a couple more things here. I thought this would be fast. I picked up this box set just recently on CD, Louisiana Swamp Blues. Neat little, it's a 4 CD set. It's been playing in the background on here. It goes through Zydeco, it goes through Cajun, it goes through blues. Just a lot of the music from the 50s and 60s out of Louisiana. Really neat. It came out of England. The other pickups was Cajun music and Zydeco and alligator stomp music. So obviously I'm a huge Zydeco fan. I love Creole, love Cajun, I love all that. So, okay, there you go. Here I thought it'd be 12 minutes. Dang gummit. But I wanted to give you some back history on some of this because it's really interesting music, and there's some really easily accessible stuff, or stuff you're not into or whatever. You can give it a try, give it a listen, because it's well worth it. So again, thanks, 101 people. I do appreciate that. That's pretty neat. Thank you very much, because I love music. Music's my passion, so enjoy talking about it. It's another Sunday morning, up bright and early. Cat's on the lap, but he didn't look at you guys, so he stayed pretty still this time. So thank you. I hope everyone has a fantastic week. Enjoy your Sunday, and as always, I really do appreciate you tuning into my channel. Thank you.